Hi guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Kevin O'Leary is one of the world's greatest business icons, worth an estimated $400 million. He's a regular on the popular investing TV show Shark Tank and loves investing into small businesses and startups. Kevin O'Leary is very insightful and a true inspiration to many. Let's dive in.
If you're passionate and you're successful, you'll wake up one day rich. You won't really be going for the cash, it'll just happen to you. Everybody I talk to that's had success doesn't remember the day they became a millionaire. No idea. Not important to them. They remember winning. They remember building a business and being successful. Again, the pursuit of freedom manifests itself in passion. That's really what it's about. I'm not sure how you're going to take this story, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways, okay? End of a class, 9 at night, 600 people. There's a fellow up at the top puts up his hand and say, Mr. Oleary, look, I have to ask you a question. I haven't said anything all class, but I'm really hurting. Can you help me? And I said, what's your problem? Class goes dead silent, because it's not going to be about business. And he said, today, my fiance came to me and said that I have to make a decision between our relationship and the business. And I said, oh, I'm not Dr. Phil here, but let's hear it. This guy had, in his dorm room in undergrad engineering, built an online cloud-based compliance tool for hedge funds with under 250 million to help them reduce their costs. It's a subscription service. The guy had a run rate of $5 million. He hadn't even graduated yet. I'm licking my chops at this business. This is fantastic. And then he said, but I have no time. And I never see my fiancée. She wants me to come be with the family on Sundays, just once. But I'm doing my compliance downloads on Sundays and I have to deal with my customers because I got to be back in class at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Now the class is looking at me saying, okay, big guy, what's the answer? I said, everybody, let's be pragmatic. Which is easier to replace? Your business or your fiancé? And the shit hit the fan with that. But let me ask you something. Clearly that match was not right, because if you're going to get into a relationship with an entrepreneur, man or woman, it doesn't matter. You have to understand what drives them. It's not going to be a successful union. It's not going to work. I think he made the right decision. That whatever you do, somebody can do it better. You have to bring your A game in every single day. There's nothing unique about any one individual. What's unique is their passion, their ability to execute, to meet targets and exceed them. The minute you lose that ability, in capitalism, you're gone. It's a fair trade. The engine that makes you rich can take it all away from you. There are no guarantees. I think that's incredibly important. My advice to people that want to be mavericks is put your blinders on, focus on what you want to achieve, and don't listen to all the noise. That noise is horrific and just really, really bad. And it's always going to be eating at you, but you've got to stay focused on the goal. I was taught that years ago by a mentor, and it's absolutely true. Stay focused, don't let distractors bother you, don't let them get you down. And invariably, you're going to be kicked to the ground as a maverick or an entrepreneur or anybody that's trying to achieve their own freedom, but you got to get up and keep going. Every entrepreneur I meet is very passionate. That's just part of the equation. I actually argue that what matters most is executional skills. Every entrepreneur is passionate. Everybody that's an entrepreneur is ready to take that journey and go down that road, and that's great. But the ones that are still doing it 3 years later have executional skills. So that's what I think matters above everything else. I meet lots of teams, I fund lots of companies, I see lots of failure and lots of successes. The difference is men and women, primarily women these days, that can really execute, that set goals, tell you what they are, talk to you every 3 months saying I achieved this goal or I didn't, and why. And to me, that's the building block of a business. There's nothing worse than vision all day long. Vision's easy. Execution is hard.
What's a deal that you missed that one of your fellow sharks was able to secure that you look back on and say, wow, I didn't know that one was going to work out that well, but it's proven to be a big success?
And there is one, and I remember the moment. It was a deal called Sponge Daddy. It was a yellow sponge with a smile in its face. And I thought, what a piece of crap this is. The guy wanted $500,000 for like 50% of it. And Laurie was beside me, you know, the queen of crap, as I like to say. She'd get the joke if she was here. And she started bidding on it, and I looked over at her and I said, are you out of your mind? This thing is a sponge. It's a sponge. She said, leave me alone. I said, no, Laurie, I forbid you to do this. I can't watch you kill money like this. This is a shame. You're going to teach America how to waste cash. She said, shut up, I'm doing the deal. And she did. Sponge Daddy did $50 million in sales last year. It's a little piece of crap. I mean, that taught me, and I have a lot of respect for her now. That shows you the power of the Shark Tank platform. Simple product, simple message. There's actually a great corporate lesson to be learned in watching Shark Tank, and I urge anybody that's listening to this now to think about this for their own career. If you go back and look at 6 years of data, of all the deals that got funded, regardless to what the product was, and this does not detail the outcome of the company, just the ones that got a check from a shark. What are the common traits or threads? It turns out there's three. In 100% of the cases, the entrepreneur is able to articulate the idea in 90 seconds or less. Here's a sponge. Under cold water, it's hard, scrapes eggs off plates. Under warm water, you can polish silver. I get it, right? Very simple. Number two, it's usually a team are able to articulate why they're the right team to execute the business plan. They have a plan. They tell you what it is, and they tell you why they're the accredited, managers for it. That's interesting. You find it in every case where there's success. And here's the one that really matters. In 100% of the cases, the entrepreneurs knew their numbers inside out. You ask them about break-even analysis, margin analysis, market share growth, competition. In every answer, they had it. They nailed it. It turns out in corporate America today, and I teach this now, I taught at Notre Dame and MIT, the graduating cohorts, I explain this to them. When you're leading, when you want to be a leader, you have to articulate your idea in 90 seconds or less. You have to explain why you're the right person to lead, and above all, you have to know your numbers. You can see it happen on Shark Tank. It works in the real world too. And frankly, Shark Tank is the real world because it's real capital. So I use that and I teach it, and I think everybody should think about that. Explaining your vision clearly, succinctly, in a short period of time ends up being really important.
I was working once at an ice cream parlor when I was about 15 years old, my first real job. And on the second day, I was asked to scrape the gum off between the Mexican tiles on the floor. And I said to the woman who owned the store, it was called Magoo's Ice Cream Parlor, you didn't hire me to scrape gum, you hired me to scoop ice cream. And there's this girl in the shoe store across the way that's looking at me, I don't want to see her scraping the gum. And she said, what are you talking about? I own this store. I'll do anything I want with you. Get down on your knees and scrape that gum. And I said, I'm not doing it. She said, you're fired. Last job I ever had. I owe that woman everything. I don't like to work for people. Many of you in here, I hope, inherit that. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you want to control your own destiny, you work for yourself. That's how it works. I'm trying to inspire those of you who are on the tipping point. Take the chance, you're young. Go for it. There's nothing better than being able to wake up in the morning 10 years or 20 years from now and do whatever you like. It's about freedom. That's what matters. I'm not saying being an employee is bad, but believe me, being an entrepreneur is better.
How do you get to the next level? You hire amazing people and you give them a piece of the upside. Very hard to do in a services business like yours, but not impossible. Scale is everything. You want to get bigger. The only way you're going to do that is expand beyond being just a one-man show.
And that's tough. Finding the right partners that should augment your skills. You know, if you're great in one thing like sales and marketing, get someone who's better in logistics, or hiring people that can actually do more of these websites. I've always found in every one of my deals that made me money, it's the team I built. A fantastic team of people working together towards a single mission. The better the people, the more money I made. It's that simple. But I always gave up some to them so they were part of the story. And I always found, even if I gave up half, which I did in the case of the Learning Company, that outcome was $4.2 billion. So I was pretty happy with the outcome in the long run. It's all about team. It's really hard to do it on your own. And building a team, you have to build it slowly and find the right partners and then give them some of the upside.
Unfortunately, one of the great benefits of technology is productivity. One of the big downsides, it's incredibly distracting. People check their Twitter account, or they'll answer a Facebook message, or they'll do something that has nothing to do with making money. And the reason you go to work in the morning is to make money. That's what you're there for. All the other wonderful things you can do with your time are based on your ability to create an income for yourself and your family. So why spend any time doing all that crap, which is distracting? And so that's the number one thing I find in my companies is when you see someone failing and you look at how they manage their time, you'll see right there what's going on. They're not focused on what matters.
What are some of the telltales that you have seen over your years that tell you this person isn't right, I have to let her or him go?
That's a good question, and I'll answer it with an analogy of fact. I carry 2 phones with me. This small one is only known by my family and very, very close friends. And when it rings, I'll always answer it because it has to do with something going on with my kids or my family or my brother or whatever. This phone, this larger one, probably 10,000 people have this number. I'm a believer that if you are an entrepreneur or a major shareholder of a company, every single customer should know if they have a problem who they can call. And when I say this concept of access, in other words, many managers think, well, you know, if I give my number out to my employees, they may call me. and the truth is, you want to hear from them. You want to hear the bad news first. And what I found is the more people I give this number to, the less it rings. I tell them simply, look, I want you to have this access because I respect you, and I want you to know that you can come to me. And in that trust, I find that most people never use it. This thing does not ring as much as my family phone does. But when it rings, it's a big deal. And the reason I know it's time to terminate somebody in one of my companies is when my customers and my shareholders call me 3 times about that person. It's always the same. It's always the same. When a customer's complaining about a CEO or a head of sales or the head of R&D, or employees are not happy, and I keep getting that phone call, I get on the plane and I get my whacking stick out. Because there's something wrong. Great entrepreneurs are able to delegate. The successful women CEOs are remarkably good at this. Remarkably good at it. And the way it works is, Sarah, I'll give you an example of the way Sarah works. She hires somebody, she sets a goal for 90 days, and gets out of their way. Gets completely out of their way. Lets them achieve it. If they achieve it, she moves them up the organization. If they don't, they get 3 tries until they're out. If you can't achieve your goals in business, that's what happens. But her whole thing is, let them do the work themselves. Let them figure it out. I don't want to use my time for it. That's what I hired them for. If you think you can have a balanced life as an entrepreneur, that's just all bullshit. There's some other guy who wants your customer that's working 25 hours a day.
Right.
That's what I found. And so I don't even talk about that anymore as saying, look, you have to decide. It's a path. You either are going to control your own destiny or you're going to be an employee. They're both noble. One gives you time to be with your family, one gives you a more balanced life, and the other one is balls to the wall. And the reason you do it is to eventually have personal freedom because you've been successful. And I think most of the people in this room fall into that second category, balls to the walls, and they're going to make it or they're not. And that's why I come here, because the kindred spirit. I like to see entrepreneurs that are willing to risk it all, but but have to realize there is no balance. The reason you do and pursue an entrepreneurial career is to provide financial freedom one day for yourself and your family. The sacrifice is there's no balance during the period you're growing the business. If you're successful, the reward is financial freedom, which is the essence. I tell young entrepreneurs, don't do it for the greed of money. Do it for financial freedom. Do it for freedom. Make yourself free one day so you can do whatever you wish with your time. And the only way you can do that in our society is you have to be wealthy to do that. And so the rewards of a great entrepreneur are they achieve that wealth and they're free to do whatever they wish, which may be more entrepreneurship. You don't know. I'll tell you something. Nobody has a monopoly on great ideas. Nobody. There's always somebody with a problem that needs to be solved. And that is the essence of a great business opportunity. Look around you in the world and see the problems people are having. Keep your eyes open, and when you discover one that you think you can fix, that is the beginning of a business, my friend. That's how it starts. So don't be down and don't say that all the great ideas are taken. That's never the case. There's always the next great idea, and that's what's wonderful about being an entrepreneur. You gotta keep sort of your mind open and your eyes open and always be looking for opportunity. And don't be depressed. I don't like that tone. Let's get happy, and let's get focused, and let's get to work. And by the way, the greatest companies ever started were many that were started with no money. It's not about money, it's about solving somebody's problem. If you can solve a problem, you can start a business, even with no cash. You're gonna provide as much as you can for the little as you can to start it and prove it out. You get a product or service that people are buying, and they're saying, this works for me, or solving a problem. That's the beginning of a great journey.
The key to success as an entrepreneur is not to understand your strengths, it's to understand your weaknesses. Now, here's what I knew I was weak at. Logistics. Manufacturing and shipping logistics bores the crap out of me. I'm just not interested in it. When Walmart came on board and said, look, we're going to change this whole industry and we're going to make you our guys in educational software, we had the challenge of moving 80 million units. I can't do that. That's not my skill set. Michael Perrick, on the other hand, is myopically focused at that kind of thing. And I knew that. He was one of our shareholders. I went and approached him and said, listen, why don't you leave your PE firm, okay? I'll give up the title of CEO. You're going to be the CEO. Your number one role is going to be logistics. Because if we're not successful at this, we're going to fail. This is the only thing that matters, is shipping these units all around the world. He looked at me and said, what's in it for me? I said, you know what? I own a ton of stock, lots and lots of it. I'll make a deal with you. I'll make us equal partners. And this is how, and I'll tell you, in the book, in writing it, I looked at every transaction where I've made money, not just learning companies, Storage Now, the Oleary funds, deals before that. All the deals where I made money were partnerships. All the ones where I had catastrophic failures are things I tried to do myself. So I've learned now that it's much better to partner with somebody who actually fills in the holes.
It really moved me, and I want to read a poem, okay?
Oh, no.
I really want to read a poem, and I've written it for you.
This is
that
such a
doesn't happen
special
very
moment.
often.
Okay.
In cash I know, because I like to watch it flow. When I ask valuation, I want no hesitation. Are you worth $10 million? Hell no. I'm worried that a big bear would have taken a large dump near where you were.
Oh, God. It's the cleanest mud in the world. It comes from one of the most pristine wild rivers in the world. I would actually really like to have Mr. Wonderful come up here and give you a glacial facial.
Okay, then. I just hope I'm not being covered in bear poo.
No, this is very pure.
How long would you need to leave it?
In order to dry, it would take about 10 to 15 minutes.
Does it draw the impurities up out of your skin?
Absolutely. It contains microfine clay particles that absorb toxins and exfoliate dead skin.
Somehow this looks like the true you.
All you gotta do is draw some horns on him and he's set.
What other body parts can be used with this stuff?
Top of his head.
The color of money.
The
It's
color
very
of money.
cooling. I feel the toxins leaving my body.
So which success rule resonated the most with you? Comment your favourite below. I will aim to reply to every single comment. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button and definitely subscribe. See you next time.
Coming in, flex. I just wanna win, LA BB, who we running with, coming in, yeah, flex. I just wanna win, yeah.